It's your boy Jay Jeezy Jenkins.
We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest,
one of the biggest preachers in the world,
Bishop T.D. Jakes. Welcome.
We here, and boy, am I excited about this one.
Jeezy and Jakes, that's kind of cool, isn't it?
Like that.
Don't drop the mic. The power of your words can change the world.
I think the torch is passing. Leadership torches, vision torches, business torches, in the arts, in ministry, in every area, the torch is passing, as it always does, especially as we see the next generation evolving and community needs being thrust in our face, and we keep waiting on somebody to come and fix it. And then suddenly you realize that we are the people that we've been waiting on.
Man, thank you, Bishop.
That's right.
My spiritual, emotional, and mental health. Thank you.
And I know what it is to have leadership potential and be starving for mentorship.
Right.
Somebody you can talk to, somebody you can trust, somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Right.
All of that is so desperately needed. The preceding generation doesn't always tell the next generation what they learned. So you have to go for yourself. There's no way I can push you up and not go up with you, because I think it's the young people's turn. It's your turn, it's your time, it's your season. If we could have a conversation, we could build an apartment building, we could build a mall. If we could build a mall, we could build a school. If we could build a school, we could start a college. If we could start a college, we could change the world.
Well,
Hey,
Bishop
don't
T.D.
drop
Jakes,
the mic.
Get it right now, and we appreciate you for joining us.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Don't Drop the Mic. On our Mondays, we're in our second lesson, and we're moving right along. Thank you for tuning in. And Don't Drop the Mic, man, is for everybody, not just for preachers and ministers. It's for the home, for your job, just learning how to communicate. And so we've been on this trail of lessons concerning the end times or the last days. And one of the things that we find important that the Spirit of the Lord gave me is that we have to learn to communicate during this time in order to affect our children, our co-workers, our spouses, or what have you. So it's just not communicating from a podium or the pulpit. All right. Welcome, Sister Felder. How are you doing today?
I am doing awesome. How are you? Hello, everyone.
Hello. I think I saw Pamela on. Good evening, Pam. Good to see you. All right. Anyone else out there? If you put your name or comment, we'd love to say hello to you. We're going to jump right on in here, and because we got a basketball game coming on, right? All right. So let's go ahead with owning the fear factor. That's where we are in our second lesson. Owning the fear factor of communication or speaking, public speaking, home speaking. We got to own it. We got to own it. Once we own the fear factor, then we can move beyond. And our desire today and objective is to try to tell you how to teach you how to own the fear factor. And again, for those who tuning in for the first time of this Don't Drop the Mic, it's a book written by T.D. Jakes. And I bring a well of experience in education as it concerns communication and teaching. So, and Minister Felder is almost like our student for today. She's going to be our guinea pig to help us kind of ask the questions that you probably wouldn't ask. All right. Or answer the questions and ask. Yes. So don't drop the mic. It's the connotation is that we're used to hearing or seeing dropping the mic like Kobe did when he retired, the Mamba. And he said, Mamba out, drop the mic. And then, of course, our President Obama, when he was done, he dropped the mic and said, Obama out. But the connotations there was, I have achieved, I have accomplished, I've done the darn thing. But Jakes is saying, don't drop the mic, meaning in his version to hold on to it because what you have to say is valuable. And so I want to make us comfortable with being able to say whatever it is that God would have us to say. All right. Good evening, Reverend and Mother George. All right. So fear is a universal element in the human life. It's something we all experience. And it wouldn't be a surprise to you that fear, the fear factor, can be a good factor, could be healthy, in the sense that it helps you when you experience fear. It tells your mind automatically know that you better duck for cover or run for cover, things that are in danger. It also keeps us from making terrible, unnecessary financial decisions that could destroy us. I don't know if that always kicks in with me, but it's been kicking in better since I've gotten older, for the financial part of it. But fear can be good. It can be good, and but it also can be bad, where it can hold us back from accomplishing the things that we would need or want to desire to accomplish, or that which God has placed in us. So if you want to be a successful communicator, or if you want to move from one degree of success to the next degree, never allow fear to be an obstacle that hinders you or stop you. You can't allow fear to do that, or hinder your development or your experience or your maturity in a thing. The fear of failure and the fear of success, the fear of what others may say, these type of fears are fears of being misunderstood. These are the things that hinder us from being good communicators, or the fear of communicating. Now, listen, fear, whenever you're taking a journey into the unknown, fear will always get in the car with you, Minister Felder. It's going to get in the car with you. It's going to ride in the back seat. And it'll make its way up to the passenger seat. So the key is that we don't turn the wheel over to fear. We don't let him in the driver's seat. So just if he's going to ride, and which he will or she will, however we want to capsulize this fear. But fear is a good thing as long as we own it and know what to do with it, and don't let it drive the wheel or take the wheel. So let's talk a little bit about, and if I'm gonna ask Minister Felder if you would share a little bit, perhaps the last time you stepped out on a limb as a communicator, rather as a mother, which you are, or as a military or whatever else you do in life, a grandmother. When was the last time you stepped out as a communicator? What emotions did you experience in that moment?
You know, the fact that my first thought I had put on was my very first sermon. But since you said that, my last communicate was going to the school, confront the principal about my granddaughter being bullied. I think that was, it wasn't a fear factor so much as being, able to express myself in a meaningful way, but with authority that I'm no longer going to take the bull.
So what was the emotional part of it? What was the emotional?
Yeah, I was nervous.
Nervous, okay.
Okay. I was nervous because you want to say the right words. You don't want something to blow out of proportion. So it was a nervousness for me to make sure that I kept my temper down and to be a professional, also a Christian woman when addressing that issue for about my granddaughter.
Okay, good. Now, and the last thing for me, of course, was yesterday. And it's always the same. I don't know if this is a fair question for me. It's always the same with being live. I always have that there's a fear that things are going. We don't do productions. We did that about a year ago, and man, it ate up our time. It ate up a whole lot of our time. So with this new programming, it's able to do what we wanted to do, but even going live. But going live, there's so much that can go wrong, and so then, like you said, also the nervousness of making sure that you're getting out what you need to get out to the people based on what you were led by. So so those are our moments, and if you want to share a moment, if you would put it in when you was the very last time that you had some emotions when you had to speak to somebody. Didn't have to be public like this is. It's like Minister Felder said, she was just going to the school to speak to the principal or teacher.
Principal.
Okay, and let me tell you. I'm a former educator, not too long removed, I should say, in retirement. But man, it would be good if most parents would give thought to what they were going to say, how they were going to say it before you get there.
Right.
Yeah. And then the same with teachers. I know if you know the parents coming, calm down, get yourself together, and just be prepared. And so this is what this is about. So with that said, what types of communication makes you most afraid? Before you answer that, I'm gonna give the audience a quick review of what communications are, the types. You gotta have verbal, you have nonverbal, and then let me take this down. You have written, and you have visual. All right. So written, visual, nonverbal, and verbal. Okay. Somebody gave us a comment. Let me see here. Let me get back to you, Pam. Hold on just a second, dear. Here we go. All right. When I spoke to my mother at my mother's funeral, I was nervous because I thought I wouldn't be able to convey my feelings. Good. Oh man, that's a good point. That's a very good point. We're gonna deal with that specifically in just a few moments. And everybody ought to. I mean, that speaks volumes, because you can sit here right now and say, well, I ain't no preacher, I ain't no teacher, I ain't gonna be doing all that. But as a daughter, these moments will come in life that you don't know about. I mean, that, such as death. And you may be called upon to say something. So, yeah, that's an excellent point, Pam. We're going to hold that, but we're going to address that specifically. So, what types of communication make you most afraid? And again, anybody can comment, and we like Pam did there as a good example. But Minister Felder, what type of what type of communication make you most afraid?
My nonverbal.
Okay.
And the reason why I say nonverbal, because when I'm upset, instead of saying stuff I don't want to say, I do that silent treatment. And that's not really a good thing, because even when you silent, well, my son, I just use him as an example. He when I'm silent, he know that I'm up to here. I don't have it. I'm upset. And sometimes, you shut them out when you nonverbal. Your communication is like at a standstill. And I'm working on that.
So
I'm working on that.
So what is your the nonverbal, but so I guess you're saying the reason why that you're afraid of it.
Right, because I'm nonverbal, but it's how you don't say anything, people talking to you, leave a coldness there. It leaves the other person to assume, and some things are better left unspoken, but a lot of times you need to speak it out of what's going on within you. And my nonverbal, even though I'm angry, it shows that I'm angry, but I don't speak about it. The issue don't get resolved because it's poor communication for me.
Oh, that's good. because the issues don't get resolved.
Right.
That's good. That's good. Now I believe it or not, it's oral for me as well, and the reason is, like Pam said, I always feel like I'm not gonna say what I'm supposed to say or need to say. Um, then I think I'm gonna say too much. So it's always that battle, oral. Now it used to be written until spell check came into play. So spell check came into play, man. I'm off the chain with written. Now I write you, I'll kill you with some writing now. So, okay. So let me ask you this: so when have you successfully faced or overcame a specific fear? How did you do it? And I've been meaning to put these up there.
I think I overcame my fear of public speaking. And how did it happen? The first time, I started, I was nervous. I was very nervous. I was scared of the audience. And then I learned how it happened. I closed my eyes when I began to speak until I got comfortable. And then when I opened my eyes, because I did a thing that you had to close your eyes. When I opened my eyes, what I did was pick a spot that's past the audience, was like at the wall. And I spoke to it, but it's like you're looking at the audience, but you pick I've had to pick a spot where I concentrated. And then when I got used to it, then I started being able to, publicly speak, and without you still get nervous, but you don't have the butterflies and where you just can't do the job. And I just learned to focus on either a person that I know that I was comfortable with. I would, pretty much stare at them, and it gave me the confidence to continue speaking. Because as you went into like a glitch, it gave me, the confidence to keep speaking. Or I picked a thing on the wall and I would look at it, and that's how it happened for me.
Okay. Now there are for our viewing audience, there are at least 3 types of fears that you would face when it comes to communicating: physical, psychological, and then the fear of not being able to overcome some things.
Right.
Overcome, like Pam was saying, other issues that may be flowing around in your head. So the fear of failure is what I should be saying. So the fear of failure, psychological fears, and physical fears, and then spiritual factors that can come in as well. So let me talk for a moment about psychological responses or physical responses to overcome. Your nervous system cannot discern when fear kicks in physical. It can't discern whether or not there is a prowler or there is something in danger. You have to shift your psychological. That's when we say own it. You got to own it. You have to grab that fear and shift it so that the mind or the body, the physical, would know that it's not a snake. It's not something that you should be running from. Now snake is, oh my God, that takes me to a whole nother level. So you grab hold of that in the moment or before, whenever you feel that fear, if it's on stage or if it's at home, you grab hold of that physical fear and let the mind know that it's not a python, it's a podium, or it's just a person. And mentally, you'll know the difference, and the potential danger level will subside. It may be better called as adrenaline level.
Right.
Would subside once you address it, once you own that fear, and you know what that fear is, and just, hey, it's just a conversation. It's just a conversation. So, the next thing would be the psychological, and how to overcome overwhelming psychological reaction is to speaking that requires pushing a pause button. So you press pause when you know that it's a psychological thing, a habit, a routine, just relax. And I think you mentioned, Minister Felder, that you just took a visual.
Right.
That's a pause. And what Minister Felder said is that she took a visual, closed her eyes, and imagine something on the wall. Is that what you
Yeah.
said?
I've made a point, like you make I just looked at something like it was a picture or, whatever,
Right.
clock, just looked at on the wall.
Okay. Now, of course, if it's a public thing, even if it's in the boardroom,
Yeah.
it's in the boardroom, meaning at your job, and that's one of the things I wanted to say early on in the outset, that this communication thing can affect your promotion. So even if you're talking to a board of people at your job or a team of workers at your job, so take a moment to pause. Now, the Bible teaches us that that the prophets would see. I can't remember what prophet it was, but he would see the looks on the people's faces and got scared, fearful.
Wow.
So, so you will have to do what Minister Felder said. You will have to take a pause and visualize something else. Of course, you want to be able to talk to your team workers or talk to a board member, or if it's in the home, you want to be able to look at your spouse or look at your children face to face or what have you. Or if it's in the community, it's okay to take a pause. And when you take that psychological pause, you need to either visualize something else, take a sip of water like I'm about to do now. And it's not recommended to take cold water, but it soothes your psychological. As the water goes down through your system, it senses a supply that's a needed supply, because you always need water. So it triggers your psychological, because all you're doing is tricking your mind, pretty much tricking your mind. And so the other thing is take a 10 count, a breathing 10 count. Breathe in and breathe out. And that's what I generally do. Because if I don't do that, I deal with, well, hold on a sec. The longer I speak, the more confidence. Yes. All right. Mother George said, Reverend George said, the longer I spoke, the more confidence increased. So that could be a psychological, knowing that I got to get over this part. If I can just get going, and then you'll be okay. But you have to know that. You have to own that fear again. And so that's a good point, Mother George, or Reverend George. I think Reverend George is going to take the credit for that. So you could take a 10-second breathing exercise like I do normally before I take a stage or before I address a class in school, even when I address my coworkers in a group meeting or whatever. I always take a deep breath and relax. And that does, again, it gives oxygen to the body, to the brain, and it's a supply that the body always needs. And so it immediately says, okay, we're good. So it's just pretty much a matter of just really tricking the psyche, for lack of better words. All right. And then I think what's the final? The spiritual dimension. Mm-hmm. There's a spiritual dimension in this as well, especially if you now if you're talking about teaching the word, and I just want to throw this in here. And I want Jake's, like, he limited it to the word about the spiritual factor or dimension, but I would go as far as to say that spiritual dimension can happen if you're talking to coworkers, mm-hmm. if you're talking to a board. Would you agree, Minister Felder?
I would definitely agree, because even when you're talking to children,
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yeah. Because Satan wants no more than try to keep to trip you up over dealing with your children
Mhm.
issues, or either your spouse. So I would go a little farther than what Jake's did with just saying that it comes with preaching and teaching the Bible. Now I'm never going to second guess Bishop Jakes, but and maybe he just didn't add that, but I would go as far as to say that it's a spiritual dimension altogether, especially when you're doing the right thing.
Right.
Period. Even on your job, that could be a promotion opportunity. So if Satan want to trip you up, he'll do that. So what is the best thing to do to get over spiritual roadblocks? Would be to know whatever inspires you will inspire somebody else. Even say again back onto the job. I'm trying to jump to all different platforms to give you all kind of options on your job. Hopefully, you're at a job that you care about or like, because if you like it, then whatever you are addressing your coworkers in a team meeting about, you will do it with inspiration. You'll do it because it inspires you. So whatever you've researched for that team meeting, it inspired you. So you would be inspired. You want to inspire somebody else, I should say. You have anything or uplifts you, anything that uplifts you. You want to, or things that you would want corrected in your life or in your children's life if you're gonna be at home. Anything you want to add to that, Minister Felder?
That I love the fact that you said uplifting and to encourage. You need that, and you need, sometimes as the Holy Spirit and that spiritual side take over, you're more likely to give more encouraging words than to lift someone up and build them up. It's more you like, and you was talking about the job. I think it's also important, like even for a job interview, because they put you in the room with several questions come at you from different individuals, so you will know how to, those things need to be connected together as well.
Right, and believe God. When you're teaching, if you're on the job and you're doing team leading stuff, if you're in an interview, as Minister Felder just said, believe that God has placed you in this opportunity.
Right.
You got to believe that.
Yes.
Now, on my interviews, whenever I've gone to an interview, whether I got the job or not, and thank God I got most of the jobs I've ever interviewed for.
Right.
I went into it saying and telling myself spiritually that y'all need me more than I need y'all. Now they didn't know that, but that's what I'm thinking. So that's why I had to tell myself they need me more than I need them.
Right.
So that's some ways to overcome these different, the physical, the psychological, and the spiritual dimension. So if you just came on, you missed that. Just when we finish here, you can go back over and listen to how to overcome those of 3 major things that are going to get you to the next level. So let's also consider the DNA of what. Well, let me see here. Okay, when you step back from the opportunity to communicate truth to somebody, others will be more apt to step forward and offer their opinion. So in communicating, you want to make sure you want to be driven that you're communicating truth to someone. I hope. Does that make sense, Minister Felder? That you're making, because whatever is inside of you, you want to, whatever your truth is, it's not even a statement. Even if you have a question, it's the truth of the statement that you, or the question that you have for someone. So when you refuse to exercise your truth or speaking your truth, then what happens is that somebody else will fill that gap, that power gap. For an example, and this is why communication is important, again, learning to be effective communicators. It's because when you don't step up to speak the truth that's within you, something or somebody else or some group will step in that spot and speak their truth. And their truth is not always your truth. And here's a good example. Spouses, if you don't speak the truth that's within you to your spouse, that allows or give room for somebody else to speak to that gap that's there, that empty space that you have not spoken that truth about. Is that making sense, Minister Felder?
It making a lot of sense. I was going to ask you that question, but you already answered.
Okay, and the same with children. If you don't speak the truth, that truth that's within you, or communicate it out to your children, then that leaves room for that sex abuser to
Right.
to get into that gap, or a gang to speak their truth
Right.
to your children, or a drug dealer. So even at work, if you don't speak your truth, communicate it well, then that allows the other coworker to get in there in that gap and speak their truth and perhaps get your promotion. You never know. So I'll change the atmosphere to probably an area you may not want. So, Mr. Felder, tell me this. What elements that make you unique? And this is why I ask you that, because about speaking that truth that's within you or communicating it, there's nobody like you.
Right.
There's nobody that has the experience that you have. Your experience is your experience. Now, situations are there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, meaning that they're the same issues that you face or have to deal with, or situations has happened all around the world. Somebody else's trial, somebody's going through a trial now that you're going through or getting ready to go through it. So it's nothing new under the sun. But what is unique is you. Are you hearing me on that? So since you are unique, your experiences is different, your personal skills, your instincts, your bad experiences,
Right.
all that makes you unique. And so how you communicate it, how you get it out, makes the difference, that you do get it out. Because I can't speak for you, and you can't speak my truth. And so, with that said, Minister Felder, well, before I ask you this, I want to show you something about DNA. Nobody has the same DNA. Oh, I want to share this thing about fear too. Before I meant to say this in the beginning, it has two meanings. F for forget. E is everything. A for and R run. So forget everything and run. Or I hear Minister Field writing. So the or FEAR again, face everything and rise. The choice is yours. All right. So here it is about the DNA factor. Know your DNA. Know what makes you unique. What are your dreams? Your dreams can't be the same as everybody else. What is your niche? What is that thing that you just got a niche for? You just good at it. And then your awesomeness. What is your awesomeness? All right. So thank Pam. Thank you, because I was all over the place. I felt like I was all over the place. And see, those are the fears. Those are the type fears. I'll get going and rambling, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Feel like, how I'm gonna get back here? How can I get back to so much going on up here? Anyway, thank you, Pam. So I could take that down. I had to look at it for a little while because that's my encouragement. I don't know if she lied to me or not, but I take it. That helped me calm myself down. She trying to trick my mind. So. Okay, okay, you find how to take it down. All right, okay. So, Mr. Felder, what is your DNA? What makes you unique, you think?
I think that my ability to communicate effectively, to be able to, I am a person that I don't meet a stranger. I have God me a gift of gab, you could say. I don't have my life experience is sharing, my most intimate moments with people for healing purposes, for encouragement purposes. I have my education, but mostly I think for me is my own life. I'm transparent. And I think when you're transparent, you're authentic, you're honest, your integrity, it speaks volumes to people, especially ones that is going through, as you stated earlier, going through something, about to go through something. And like you said earlier, it's nothing new under the sun. And I think, just my gift of gab, because I can talk. I would talk you. I would make you talk to me. That's just me, and that's part of me that I love. And I love people. My awesomeness is loving people. I have a genuine love for people. I love helping people. So I think those are things that make me totally different. And I'm the one that's always willing to learn, always willing to learn, and humble. I think it's my biggest accomplishment that I remain humble in all those things. As I grow, I become more humble.
All right, Pam. Whoever is listening now, I see Pam and Mother George. You guys, y'all put in the comment what makes you unique. Why you're so unique.
So what makes you unique, Pastor?
I knew you was gonna run that. That's why I was asking you.
I'm curious.
Well, I like you helped me out with humble. I was about to say humble to a fault, meaning that I take more than I ought to take, but I take as much as the Lord give me to take. So I'm humble. That's one of the niches. I'm blessed to have a keen eye for scripture research. Not that I'm pulling out anything new, but it's not on the surface. I can guarantee you that. And that's something I ask the Lord for as well. But those are, and I do the same on my job. I can be a little deep. I can be beyond the surface. Now I haven't always been like that, but now I'll tell you what made me like the researching of scripture. And then I was an investigator for a little while, police officer in the Navy for a little while, and then I got out and was an investigator for a lot of retail, big box retail markets. And so I guess that's why it makes me look at things a little deeper than general. Sister Pam gave us a good bit here. So I'm kind of like Minister Felder. She's bailing both of us out, huh? You can tell she's from my hometown. I can strike up a conversation with almost anyone, which is true. Yep, that is true. A lot of times that they will tell me that my words are just what they needed, or my smile made them feel better. And she's gonna tell you just like it is. She's just like her mom. And yes, just like she see it. I'll put it like that. Pam, you remember when we went to ROTC camp for the summer? And I remember that real good. And Pam would go around talking to everybody, and I would just watch her. I would be nervous. And so I would go with her. I tail around with her so I can see the girls, and so so her being a home girl, she brought me out. She brought me out. All right. So now, dealing with DNA. So those things that are unique. Let's see here. One person that was unique had a unique personality, but was fearful of their DNA. This is why I brought the DNA up and the uniqueness. We could have a uniqueness about us to communicate, to get out of us, but have a fear.
Yes.
And so we have all that trapped in us, our uniqueness trapped in us because we're not able to communicate effectively. And not being able to communicate doesn't necessarily mean that your mouth is always closed. You can have a uniqueness, and I've been around people that just go 50 miles per hour all the time, 100 miles per hour. And even in their homes, that's just the way they communicate. Rah, 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 rah. But that uniqueness in you never really get out to speak your truth. And so there was a man in our history by the name of Moses, had that same uniqueness in leadership, but he had a fear of getting out his leadership, because his fear was he used to stutter.
Right.
And he felt like that he would not, that was his biggest fear. And let me add to that stuttering thing. Fear can cause you to stutter. That's something else I deal with. When I sense a fear, I stutter a little bit. And so anyway, Moses, not saying that that's why Moses. So Moses had he just I think he was just born with it to the degree where he was needed help. And so that was his biggest fear. But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I could go to Pharaoh to set the Egyptians free, the slave? Who am I?" And Moses didn't realize that God had equipped him with everything that he needed. And Moses was still afraid. Then Moses said to the Lord, "Oh my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither before or since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow to speech and slow to tongue," meaning he had this stuttering problem. So Moses was content to allow his physical limitations to silence the power of God, to silence him setting the people, Egyptians, free. So Moses still resisted, but he said, "Oh Lord, please send by the hand of whomever else you may send." So he even asked him to send somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the insight of this historic event recognizes Moses as one of the greatest leaders who ever lived. Mm-hmm. And yet his contribution to the world was almost snuffed out before it had gotten started. So what is it that's inside of you that God has placed inside of you, that because you have this spirit of communicating, getting your truth out, has snuffed out some major thing that God wants to do in your life? And when I say major, doesn't mean that it has to be like Moses, where a whole country was set free.
Right.
But you could just set free somebody in your home. Amen. All right, Dr. Chapman, good to see you, man. All right, he says fear is the absence of the known. The Spirit gives us the power of the positive energy and therefore draws others. Yes. And that the fear, I like that, the absence of the known. It's the absence of the known. So you don't know what is out there. So you don't know. Actually, he's a little ahead, pushing me ahead of where we're supposed to be going here. let me share that part because it's important. I'm just gonna go with that, Minister Felder. The absence in communication is that absence of the known is that failure you think you're gonna have in speaking, the misunderstanding that you think that others gonna have, what you think others are going to say, or what they're gonna think about you. So it's not known; it's absent.
Right.
So that's where the fear is. That stuff that you don't know. And then in a few minutes, you're gonna see where I say never. It doesn't matter what is thought. What long as you have prepared yourself and researched and gotten the truths that's within you out. All right. So, Mr. Felder, what are some specific limitations that have restricted you or softening or have softened your voice? What are some?
Me talking too fast. That's one of my biggest issues. When I get ready to present something, I be trying to hurry up and finish. So that's one of my things, talking fast. And also, especially in the ministry, because the Bible has so many different types of names. It's in Greek, and that one of the things of me saying the words properly, you got to study and practice, and don't want to say the wrong words. Probably that's two of most of my biggest limitations that I think that I have. That I talk too fast, and I don't know if I be clear and precise enough, and then at the same time, my pronunciation of certain words correctly.
Ditto. That both of them, all that is me. The same. Honestly, I really can't repeat none. I mean, I could repeat exactly what you said. My hair just wouldn't be as long. And that would be me. I talk fast, and the research that I do, the pronunciation. My family can do a mixtape on my mispronunciation of words that will crack up the world. But since I've been online, though, I'm very careful to make sure, like you said, that you practice and prepare a little bit more. I maybe not have been as humble in that sense because I was a little too much, Grandma used to say. So here's this. What is the things that keep you up at night? I would say Moses said, "Who am I?" What are the questions that keep you up at night or cause you to feel afraid?
When I'm getting ready to do something like speak or something, is how can I do this? Will I be, even when I'm getting ready to pray, believe it or not, it's like I take on a whole new, I go into a whole different atmosphere, like, would they, God, are you listening? Will I be able to pray to these people, feed them, give them what they want? Would I be able to reach someone as another one? And am I effective? Those are some of the things that keeps me up. If anyone listening, am I going to affect the outcome of what somebody feel? Am I going to be that positive force in their life? Those are some of the things that keeps me when I'm trying, especially believe it or not, when I'm trying to, that keeps me, not really up at night, but keeps me on my toes with certain things.
Yeah, that's just figure of speech keep you up at night. Those things that you're concerned, not necessarily fearful, but what concerns you. Let me show this going back to the workplace a minute. I want to go back to the workplace. Wait a minute, let's see here. How what I'll say will come across. Yes, those are the things, again, like Dr. Chapman was saying there. Fear is the absence of those things unknown. Those are some of the things, the unknown things that we will fear. We just fear those, and it doesn't happen. I wanted to give about the workplace this statistics here. That's how much time we got. We don't have much time at all. Okay.
No.
We're gonna finish this right quick. Is somebody else doing this? Hold on a second. Just a second. I want to get. All right. Okay, so the workplace. This is why this is important for the workplace. Communication issues that prevent effective leadership. 69% of managers report feeling uncomfortable communicating with their employers, which is crazy, but it's true. So
Right.
even if you can be a leader and have communication issues. I think some of the worst leaders have some of the worst communication problems. 63% report that management does not recognize employee achievements. 57%, and that's communication. That's a form of communicating where you're writing to employees or announcing it on the loudspeaker or what have you. It's still a form, but more or less, I think more importantly, going by and talking to that employee one-on-one. Then 57% report not being given clear directions. That's another one. 52% report management does not make time to meet with the employees. 51% report management refuses to talk to subordinates. So a lot of managers, a lot of supervisors are in position and have poor communication skills. Now, this is important to know going as a family or on your job, our ministry especially. In Habakkuk chapter 2 says, "Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end of it will speak and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry." So my point is up there in verse 2, where then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain. And so as managers and even as family, make the vision plain. Communicate it. What do you want for your family? What is your family goal? If I didn't think about it, but we have a family vision statement. I wish I don't know if we still got it, but we put it on the refrigerator. And we have a family vision. And that's how we make sure that we communicate along those lines to make sure that everybody is in track to achieve the larger vision, the larger goal. But it has to be communicated. And to be honest, you should write it down, where that's another written form. That's another form of communicating. All right. So when have you? So like Moses in this instance, and like these managers or supervisors, when have you, Minister Felder, felt compelled to speak out against injustice?
I was, we go back to my granddaughter, and that thing with bullying, it tears out at me. And I think any child should be able to go to school, be comfortable in their surroundings, just like everybody is, without everybody or somebody making their day uncomfortable. So my thing, that injustice to me is children bullying. That's a big thing for me that I often, now that I've been dealing with my granddaughter, I've been able to speak, out against it. And to be able to, talk to other teachers and even talk to students and letting them know how it feels to be, picked on and feeling unacceptable at the school and around in the environment.
So whatever compels you, that thing that irritates your anointing as well. Right. If anybody wondering what it is, whatever is out there in the community or on your job or what have you in your family, whatever it is that irritates your anointing, that's your spirit, then that's the thing that you really need to be speaking about. Your passion is there. Now the reason I brought that up, because in closing, we only going to about 2-3 more minutes. What in the communication that propelled us into George Floyd, what of the 4 communication types do you think irritated or let's see, got people out to be able to march and be able to what we got going on? Can you hear? Hold on a second. All right. So what was it that you think that got people out there? What type of messaging? Was it the verbal? Was it the nonverbal? Was it the written or the visual? In the George Floyd case.
You know, when I went back and looked at it for this very purpose, and I think a lot of it was a visual, them showing up. Another was a nonverbal because they didn't create a riot. They was forceful, but it wasn't, you know, they was verbal and they given, but it was also a nonverbal stance. And I looked at they was definitely visual, how they showed up. And I think that was the one. And it was a protest that they was doing, and it was, you know, a good demonstration. It didn't get, you know, really irate like normal protests. They, you know, tear up stores, rip the thing, and they didn't do that at this time.
Right, and I agree, and I think the biggest thing for me in the form of communication, and getting over the fear was the visual of the young lady holding the phone, and I say the visual, as well as coupled with the extreme vocal community. That's where I was going, Pam. You took the lead on that. That's what I was about to say. Was the, especially, I can't remember the young man's name, the one that was standing on the curb, the karate expert or what have you. That to me was big, and that painted that type of communication painted a clear picture. And so with that said, we'll close with this getting over the fear. Hope this helped somebody. Hopefully the things that's within you, that truth that's within you, you're unique. God has made you unique. Your experiences, your trials and your tribulations are unique, and God has allowed you to go through those things. And nobody's gone through it the way you've gone through it. Nobody has dealt with it the way you've dealt with it, whatever it may be. So your truth is your truth, and nobody else has that truth. And so don't drop the mic. Communicate it to whether it's your spouse, your children, your mama and them, cousin and them, or whoever. Continue to effectively communicate. All right. And right before we go, let's see what Dr. Chapman says here. Over 60% of what a person understands is visual and body language and movement. Yes. And I agree. It's very important, and I've talked to our ministers about our body language,
Right.
our body language, and how there are certain things that can offend people, that we do and that we don't do, whatever. And you have to know the culture that you're dealing with. Now we're dealing with a lot of African nations, and so I have to learn more of their customs, so I don't say certain things or make even certain body languages. Even the visual setups on our lives have to be, when I say lives, I mean our broadcasting, has to be decent and in order. So, all right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for listening. Dr. Chapman, good to see you, man. And may God bless you. Pam, thank you for holding it down, and Reverend Joe.
Right.
And so those of you that will be listening next week, do you know what the lesson is next week, Reverend? I'm not sure.
Being lesson 4.
3? Lesson
3. Oh, the fear. Wait 1 second. I'll let you know. On the fear. Preach, but don't preach.
Oh, preach, but don't preach. Okay. All right. That says a lot by itself. All right. Now, it's not going to be just for ministers, but we have even when you're talking about a basketball game, you know what I'm saying? So you can go off about a basketball game. That's what they're saying. But about that basketball game, preach that basketball game, but don't preach it. Somebody got to hear you. All right. Okay. All right. Y'all have a blessed night. And Mr. Felder will be coming back tomorrow at 7 o'clock to take us through the model prayer. So what verse are we on in that model prayer?
We're on, you made me put my clip down. I'm not sure. Now
We'll tune in at 7 o'clock, but
Yes.
we're going through the model prayer, which is referred to as the Lord's Prayer, but it's not the Lord's Prayer because he never had to ask for forgiveness of sin, so it's better referred to as a model prayer. And so we're taking 13 weeks to walk down that to make us sure we understand about how to pray, especially as we deal with these last days. All right. Okay.
And remind him of the 777.
Well, I'll talk to you about that.
Okay.
I'm gonna do about it. All right. Okay, let's see here. I'm trying to. All right, y'all have a blessed evening, and we will see you tomorrow, hopefully.
You don't have a ton of things in common with God, but there is one thing. You speak. So does he. God spoke light into existence with his words. I wonder what you could speak into existence with your words this week. I wonder what kind of love you could speak into your marriage that feels like it's in neutral. I wonder what kind of courage you could speak into the heart of a child who's hurting. I wonder what kind of peace you could speak into your broken friendship. What kind of hope you could speak into your own weary soul. I want you to know that the most powerful words you're going to speak this week is probably not going to be on a stage or a conference call or closing the deal with a client that you want. The most powerful words you're going to speak is probably just with 1 or 2 people listening, maybe 0. It's totally possible that the most powerful sentence you'll say this week is a thoughtful text message that you send to a friend who's walking through the valley of the shadow of death. It's the apology email that you finally get the courage to send. It's the whispered prayers through tears in the middle of a dark night. Powerful words aren't just for preachers who stand behind pulpits. They're for parents who stand next to bunk beds. Speak life into their kids. For spouses who share hopes and dreams during pillow talk, not criticism. For teenagers who stand up to bullies. Stand up for the uncool kids. Your tongue is so small, but so powerful. Your tongue is telling a story.